flying things.
Hello, Julian.
Hello, Scott.
I saw you rode your bike.
There we go. We got some.
Right?
No, that was Luke.
Oh, that wasn't.
No, I
I
can't,
saw you
I'm not
on that
riding
bike.
anymore, so.
Oh,
But Luke ran out, he says he forgot to lock it, so he ran back out. Hey, I was able to print up your things so that we could read them.
Good, and you?
Back in the wilderness.
well, I was most recently in a very civilized place, Belgium and the Netherlands.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
wilderness
no
at all.
bears there.
No, I didn't see any.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I was just reading about Luxembourg in the New York Times.
Hey, I have 3 handouts.
They made the news, huh?
Well, it's the wealthiest country in Europe. I don't know about in the world, but everything is free. Public transportation is free. Healthcare is free. It's like, I guess when you're really wealthy, you can make things like that free. That's nice.
Oh, Luke.
Amazing
rode
if
your
the
bike.
US would do that.
What?
It would be amazing.
Gotta
if
go
the US
back.
would
Yeah,
do that.
that would be beyond the
Yes.
actually.
I heard.
To think the irony of
Stolen, I
like
know it's stolen.
people that are
recently,
against
so it's-
Really?
universal health care or like saying
Yeah,
that people
and
don't care about
no,
entrepreneurship. If they did, you would have more entrepreneurs
Wasn't it?
if you had free
You
health care
took your
because
bike
people
out.
wouldn't
Where
stay
you
tied to jobs.
Oh,
They're lackers, I got lazy.
It's true.
Mr. Costello?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
cool.
got
Like
lazy
You're welcome.
on the bike rack. Just one.
Yeah, 3 of them.
But the corporations want worker bees, so you have to keep your worker bees.
A lot of money in the insurance world.
Well, I mean, if you can tie your employee, if you can prevent employees from being like, F it and leaving.
Yeah.
To buy used.
That too.
So.
I have one already.
Oh,
Richard.
yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to print it out, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Right here. Thanks.
For
Got
half the cost. of 55 miles on it, I wish it was about 30 miles.
they decided they didn't like them after trying them, huh?
Well, yeah, they must have thought they were getting something. Couple of systems.
Right.
That's not.
You don't want to throttle.
No, no. The class ones are pretty much anywhere.
Is it a meeting
I'm
recording?
not
It
even
doesn't look
sure
like it's
throttles
recording.
Is that
Oh,
what
it
the
is
class
recording. I wasn't sure if it was recording.
So some places you can ride, some places you
In
can't.
New York?
In Europe, you can't ride them anywhere.
Right. Oh, man, did I see all kinds of bike riding in Europe? I was
Yeah.
just, Belgium.
Oh, nice.
Other ones.
Oh,
They
riding capitals. There's more bike riding there than anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
China has the most.
Oh, China, well. Per capita wise.
China.
Oh, Lord.
Per capita.
Yeah, Google, we can check.
2-page, maybe you don't have the first.
Actually, they're all back to front.
Oh, they are?
3 pages, all back to front.
All right.
Oh, then I should have said that.
I need an agenda. It's in the agenda, so.
This one's not.
Oh, here we are. Oh, dear. That happens.
Oh, I see. This is supposed to really, it's 200. Netherlands.
Of course. Who's number 2?
Well, yeah, let's see that. The agenda, we have the options, and we have minutes from after that.
Yes,
Anything else?
two sets of minutes and an agenda with an outline on the back of the agenda.
Okay, so it's 2 sheets.
Well, no, that's 3. Because both minutes go back to front. Okay, so you have 1 set of minutes for
Oh, I don't
July,
have this thing.
and you need 1 set of minutes for
It's August. This is August.
Okay, well, let's get going. Somebody's missing. Was that Samantha or?
No.
No? Okay.
Len is out on Zoom.
Is what?
Len.
Len, yeah, good. Hey, Len. Yeah, but I just meant somebody's got a keyboard there.
Oh, that's just what they
It's
use
the council
Oh,
keyboard.
is it? Oh,
to
okay.
get on Zoom.
Okay, I want to get going because if Caitlin comes on, she said she had very limited time, so.
Laura?
Sorry?
Laura is not here also, right?
Yeah,
She excused?
no, she's not excused. She said she had to quit sharply at 2:40 or something like that.
Who's that, Laura?
No.
Kate.
Kate. Never heard from Laura. Okay. So, roll call. I'll call roll. Luke's here. Scott might be back from Belgium, I'm not sure. And we have Len on Zoom. And Tommy is here.
Present, yep.
And Nikita is here. And Richard is here, and I believe I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the minutes. I just got the July minutes. I haven't scanned them, but and by the way, there is always the videos, but I think the minutes, to my mind, are very useful because I'm not going to spend a whole hour and a quarter wading through videos to find out what happened. So, just take a minute to look through minutes. As I said, July minutes and August minutes. Okay, are there any questions or comments about the minutes?
We're doing July's first.
Yeah. And if you need a little more time to scan it, let me know.
Motion to approve the July minutes.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor of approving the July minutes?
All right.
Whatever, there's seven.
Seven.
Yeah.
Any nays or abstentions? No. Seven.
Okay, moving on to the August minutes. Which I wrote, so criticize at your peril.
This is not a criticism, but I just noticed that previously Caitlin was also available until 2:45, so they're going to be standing. She has to leave at 2:45.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Good.
I have to leave, 250, 255 for the next.
Yep.
Unless you want to run. Say, Scotty, beat me up.
I can give you a ride if you need one.
Any comments on the August minutes?
No, I think we're fine. I'll motion to accept.
Second? Could I have a second to,
I'll second.
okay. All in favor of approving the August minutes?
I'll abstain those.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm abstaining along with Luke, because I wasn't here.
okay,
I wasn't here, but I looked at the video, so.
okay, okay. Let's call it 5-2-0. Oh, hello.
Hey,
Is this open? Yeah.
it's open. We're waiting, hoping you'd be here.
I'm here.
Well, that
Sorry,
would be
parking.
Yeah, okay.
5-0-2.
I'm not used to the
Right.
students being back and I was expecting all those
Yeah,
spaces.
right.
It's like, dang.
You got things to look at.
Perfect.
Okay, well, let's put those away then. Public comment? I would just comment that I invited at least one Binghamton University person to come as a public, not as a, of course, as a member. But, I don't see that person, so,
And also announced it at the South Side meeting.
Yeah.
Tuesday,
yeah,
so that was an invite.
yep. So there is no public comment, so there's no public. Okay, are there, let me just generally say, are there any committee reports? I don't know that any committee has met, but if you have a comment about a committee, let me know.
Well, I guess it would be under the ecotoxicology committee, although we haven't formed yet, but hopefully we'll have a water plant tour. Rebecca was going to try to arrange that. And there is a new water quality report out since the last time I was here. Nothing's really changed. Still a couple of the issues are the Homestead well and PFAS, PFOA.
So is Tom Brown still the acting water superintendent?
Look that up.
So, yeah, I read in the minutes that September would be pursued.
Yes.
Who's pursuing it?
Rebecca was.
I can contact him also. I mean, the acting water superintendent.
Okay, Rebecca was doing a bit of that, but, yeah, if you,
I can check with her first to
Thanks.
see if she's,
okay,
where she's at.
yeah,
No name that I've seen on the water quality.
Last thing who's active.
I think in previous water quality reports, they had a contact at the end.
Jeff,
Jeff, yeah.
he retired.
But there's nothing on this one. Phone number, address. Phone number too.
okay, well, thanks. I'll assume that there are no committee reports. But we did say last time that we should organize committees a little more, and namely that, well, in the first place, the committees need to meet and appoint a chair. Most of them, there's a couple of chairs, but also back around, I wasn't aware of this, I don't know why, but back around last January, Caitlin composed a set of sort of manifests, I would call them, for each committee, which I put on the on Basecamp almost a month ago. So, and what I would like the committees to do over the next couple of months is meet at some time, and I say over the next couple of months because we all don't need more committee meetings. But unless there's an issue, which does mean that I would like a committee to meet, but in the absence of that, I'd like the committees to all meet within the next couple of minutes. Next couple of months, and formulate just a set of aims. Not great details, but just to say what the committee, what the subject of the committee is, and what's, if they have any aims or ideas they would like to pursue. And I'd like each committee to do that and fill it out, why not, according to the form that Caitlin gave us, okay? And what I will do is I will sort of ask a convener of all the committees that don't have a chair to actually convene the committee. And I've already asked Scott if he's still available to keep track of the legislative committee. And I've asked him to keep track of the
Outreach.
public affairs and outreach.
Well,
So,
it's, sorry, ecotoxicology for me. I
Oh,
was
you-
never on the
okay,
legislative.
not legislative, I'm sorry, yeah, okay. So I will identify, and Luke, if you could get our climate action and resiliency committee together, I would appreciate it. Okay. And actually, we have a mandate to do that. We decided at the last meeting, I think it was a couple of people who mentioned that we really should see if we can help city council do something about the Siemens contract. They rejected it, as you probably remember, we talked about, they rejected it. And apparently nothing has been moved, and perhaps it's the executive that needs to move, I don't know. But according to Hadassah, very little progress is, or anything has been done to sort of pursue that issue. So it seems to me that's a good thing for the Climate Action and Resiliency Committee to do, is to actually come up with some ideas for city council.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, previous business. It's been previous for quite a while. The blue bag issue. I actually tried to make here an outline on the back side of the agenda, which I did post yesterday or the day before to Basecamp, but I thought you'd like to have one in hand. My idea of this outline is it's a summary of what I think we agreed or that was part of Caitlin's original outline. The strengths, problems, and solutions of the three different systems that she identified. By the way, what we did decide, if you read the minutes, is that we would present the ideas to City Council basically as Caitlin outlined them. But what I would,
When did we decide that?
uh,
I think we discussed it. I don't think we made any decisions.
okay, I think you may be right. What exactly did we say? Let's see, which number, let's see, July ones. Yeah, Yeah, we couldn't make any decisions last time because we didn't have a quorum. Okay. You are keeping me on the straight and narrow, Richard. So we did talk about that. And what we said is that we decided, and that was without a vote, to present to council the options as outlined by Caitlin with our further commentary. And that is not a single recommended action. That's what I would like to adhere to. But what I would like to do is just have we've sort of battled this issue, I think almost to death. But I would like to go through these three proposals and just see if there are any additional comments that should be made. And you might read, I tried to be as brief as possible, listing strengths. If you don't agree with that, or you think there are other things, let me know. And let's talk about the modified blue bag system. And the issues there were the affordability for people in the less affluent parts of the city, of which there's a fairly large number. The sparse distribution I'm talking about was the issue that there weren't enough outlets for the bags, and that the outlets tended to be rather concentrated and not very well distributed. And the bag strength was brought up as a big issue. And the idea that plastic bags are non-degradable, at least as present, although I know, Luke, you said that there is Seattle uses a biodegradable type, but those were the problems. And basically what Caitlin's outline said is that we should figure out some kind of subsidies for less affluent parts of the community. And we should have more outlets and stronger bags. Comment.
In regard to the distribution and more outlets, I suspect that a big reason for that is that there's not anyone in City Hall who's personally responsible managing that in a way that would compare to in the past. That's based on personal observation when I was in the Public Works Department, and also just based on other observations, I guess. But if someone doesn't have that as a assigned task to visit stores, see if they're having problems, address those problems, and ensure the distribution, whether that's someone from the
treasurer's office or the purchasing.
yeah, like I don't think that city council might not appreciate, for lack of information, that it's a distributed task right now, right? Like we can name 3 departments that are probably involved with that, but no one's like really a principal. That would be a question. All this is a question.
Yeah.
But that's my.
Okay, yeah, that's.
I'd like to bring up another point just for purpose of debate. To me, it would make sense. The simplest way to solve the equity issue, and I think the fairest way to do it, is to make property owners responsible for supplying bags.
I think if you look at the original legislation, that was a feature of the legislation.
I think it may be, and I don't know if it was ever changed.
But again,
But the practice has changed.
but that brings up the issue of enforcement, which is probably why it never happened. Is that who's going to enforce that?
I just took a quick look at the budget, the refuse budget, the sanitation budget today before the meeting. They're roughly $3 million between the two for your expense. Now the bags bring in somewhere $800,000 to $900,000 minus. They're saying they cost between $300,000 and $400,000, which I find mind-boggling. that those bags could cost that much money. But anyway, so if you narrowed it down to $2 million more than the bag cost, that goes back to the property owners anyway. But the average property owner is subsidizing through their taxes landlords, property owners that are renting to students and where most of the bags or most of the garbage is coming from.
They're paying for the
So,
workforce, right?
pardon?
The landlord's paying for the workforce and the trucks, everything else except the
No.
tipping fees, right?
Well, all property owners are paying. What I'm saying is, depending on what kind of taxes landlords are paying, percentage-wise,
Right.
I mean, you'd have to delve into it a lot deeper than I have
Right, yeah.
to see what it actually costs. But everybody's paying for it anyway. So to make it more equitable, the people that own the property should just supply the bags rather than do away with them. And that might also help with distribution locations, because I'm gonna guess that most property owners and landlords have a way to get to the store to purchase bags. Or they have a property manager that has responsibility for tending to their properties, who could be purchasing those bags and putting them out, because they're getting use from it. They're the ones that are creating the waste stream. So
I
that's,
proposed that last year, so.
I know you did, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, to me, I'd like to hear the opposition to that, or what.
The only
and
thing I can think
I
of,
heard Tom's comment about enforcement, and that would be an issue.
also, I like that idea, just an idea, not necessarily something I'm agreeing with, but I imagine there would be plenty of landlords who would use that as an opportunity to then raise rent further, and perhaps in a way that's not equal to the cost of the bag. So if each bag costs something like $1.75, something like that, you know, an increase of, 20 months, 50 months, sorry, now I have to pay for your blue bags. And I can see it very easily being taken advantage of as like, and they're not necessarily going to be so clear, like, oh, because of the blue bags, but additional administrative costs, changes in tax, like it's so vague, it can be, they can just pass it along to the renters in a way that would actually be more expensive. That's just a fear that I would have.
Yeah, I understand that point, and I thought of that. But it's like, in the meantime, all the other property owners are subsidized.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So, and we're talking, I would say, a pretty minimal amount of cost to them. But also, it would be the burden of responsibility for education purposes would be on them, because it would be to their advantage to educate their tenants on recycling, and the more recycling, the better. And the less use of the bags, if they're supplying the bags. So there's some benefits there. As far as what landlords charge, they're gonna charge whatever they can get. I don't know how you legislate that.
That's my fear.
Well, there was a rent change, right, just passed, where they can't, as part of good cause eviction, where they can't raise rents more than 10%.
Is that on all properties, or is it like, I don't know, I need to look, sorry. I need to look more into good cause eviction, but I know, like, for example, statewide, with things over the years for renters, New York City renters have much better protection than upstate renters. And then it depends on how many units. If there's, I think, like 8 or more, then protections.
Right, this
go
depends
in.
on the number of units.
And but if it's fewer than that, like for example, I used to rent an apartment that was a duplex, so there was only 2. And then if it's owner occupied, then there's even further protections. I mean, further, like there are fewer protections if it's owner occupied. So there's like a lot of variables, and I don't think. I mean, there are, I don't know what the ratio of like the whatever that threshold is, 11 apartments versus fewer, but I would imagine there. I don't know. Yeah.
I do think it is. I've heard like small, you would know more, but fewer than 8, maybe, Scott, does that sound right? But Yeah, that
I
wouldn't
don't
apply.
remember the number.
In the original legislation, did it have like a set number they have to provide, like on a monthly level, or
I don't remember that. I mean, that's. before-
that's just a
was
variable
1990.
too, how many?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
In any case, many landlords won't be able to raise their rent too high, but that's a concern.
So
So
to your point, 10% is still like, let's say.
Oh my gosh, 10% of a rent,
That's a lot.
that's a lot
Yeah,
of money.
yeah,
it is.
yeah, because like, yeah. So even like 1,000, which is crazy to even say that 1,000 is, you're doing good if you can find 1,000 in Binghamton, which that used
That's
to not be the
impossible.
case, yeah. That's, like $100 extra a year for already overpriced.
So that idea raises a bigger question. Well, two things actually. One is it converges with the rental registration program or the, what do they call it, proactive code enforcement, because that process would give you a mechanism to kind of bring in the enforcement or also propagate that rule, which basically is all rental property is supposed to get registered, right? So if you're in violation of code, just using that term very, very broadly, then the city could reject or revoke your license or suspend your license or what's effectively a license. When that happens, then those tenant protections come in. They can't, the tenant can stop paying rent and put it into an escrow account. So the landlord's not getting any revenue, or the tenant cannot be evicted for failure to pay rent because of that new law that's already been passed. So there's just this kind of convergence around that idea with the sort of rental registration idea. And the other,
Yeah, the landlord gets I mean, if there's a penalty, if the people don't use the blue bags or whatever, and if it's tagged and blah, 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 that ends up coming to the landlord anyway. Which I don't know how
Oh,
much
that's
enforcement they're doing now, but I know
yeah.
they did quite a bit in years past.
So, but again, just going back, I guess it's just my obsession with enforcement. It's like, this is a new method of enforcement that may prove to be effective in a way that enforcement has been. Because before, it's always been either code or zoning that, or sanitation that had to do that, and it ended up in the courts. And like, if it goes to the courts, it doesn't work because it just takes too much time and money. The other question I had
They
was,
just automatically put it on their taxes.
like, one recommendation we could make is that ask our planning department to do some actual planning study to show, to demonstrate whether your theory is true or not, or your conjecture, whether single-family homeowners in particular, or property owners are subsidizing certain parts of the rental community for services like not only sanitation, but police and fire.
I mean, roughly, if you did away with the blue bags, you gotta raise the taxes 3%, at least according to like.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a
10 years ago.
motive
I
for
don't know
it.
what the exact numbers are today, but roughly.
You see what I'm
I
saying?
think Luke is calculating that in terms of the volume that's generated by the.
Well, it's a lot of things. It's like, just speaking anecdotally, 80 to 90% of code complaints about garbage or trash and garbage are for rental properties. They're not single family homes. And they're in certain neighborhoods that have high concentrations of certain types of tenants, principally students. And it's the same with the police. If you look at the mapping of their own data, the highest crime rates are in areas that have the highest concentration of students. And it's just because they have money they get property theft. That's mostly what it is. That was their data. I looked at that in detail, like, 10 years ago.
What I had sort of, Richard did mention this a year ago, but I hadn't sort of thought about the landlord responsibility. If there's landlord responsibility, and as you say, it can be applied pretty rigorously, then maybe it's a good solution.
Well, yeah, I mean, we used to have people out tagging garbage. I mean, there was actually quite a bit of revenue generated from tagging.
Maybe this could be an idea, because to your point, like, people that live in student areas complain a lot that the students do not
Conform.
they do not dispose properly, and it makes neighborhoods very messy. could you maybe have like city bins where you force landlords, like especially let's say if you have 4 units or more, or maybe just like all rental properties where they have like bins and like they have to pay a certain amount in garbage. So you can still, instead of hiring like a private company, you can still do city owned, use like the union workers still use city employees, but like the fee, instead of paying for a bag, they're paying by the bin.
Or
If
they
that
have a
makes sense.
dumpster, or they have a
But-
dumpster on the
But
property.
they might not have a dumpster if there's like 2 or 3 or 4 units, like, but, could you
No, the
do?
larger ones.
Right, like definitely for the larger ones, like force the larger ones to have, like the larger ones should have a dumpster.
The
But,
city used to collect dumpsters from different places. From
Okay.
the school, they used to do the school district, they used to do a couple different businesses. There was a dumpster program, they had trucks set up to do that, they eliminated. They jacked the prices up to the point where the school district just said we can get it done cheaper, so.
So the existing fleet of
Stop.
trucks, can they handle dumpsters or not?
So
Can the existing fleet of trucks handle dumpsters or not?
No, they're not set up for them. I mean, they can be modified, but
Of course not.
that's a different.
just as a point of information, almost all the larger student housing structures, residences, whatever, have gone through planning commission review and do have like a part of that review is garbage disposal or sanitation. And most of them do have private dumpsters, like 20 Holly Street or Twin Rivers, places like that. And enforcing that dumpster maintenance is a whole nother issue, but they don't use blue bags. They use private services, any high density housing. One of the things that is kind of like another unseen issue is it's not the number of units, it's the number of beds.
yeah,
Beds. That's how they're being rented, is by the bed, and that's how we haven't changed our structural approach to these zoning issues to reflect that in a way that other university communities may have done in the past. We just haven't done that, legislatively. Because the beds in the units, and half of those beds, when city council gets wound up at an election time, that's a common complaint from places like the Abel Bennett district on the west side, different parts of the city where it's like there's these illegal conversions. So instead of it being a duplex with 2 bedrooms on a floor, it's actually got 6 bedrooms on a floor. So it's 12 tenants. I'm sorry to go on that, but it's just like, it just makes it, that's where the problems are.
and that was something I thought about too, like, 'cause it's
Yeah.
by the room, like by the bed, not by the, because you could have a house where you could have like 20 people, like literally living
That's
there.
literally the problem. It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah,
I thought,
Okay.
isn't there legislation, I'm sorry, like that, isn't, maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't there legislation that, I know like years ago, there was legislation where more than X amount of
Yes.
people that
Yes.
weren't relatives couldn't live together,
yes.
but have they further restricted? I mean, it still happens, unfortunately, or can you?
Well, it's a work in progress. I mean, there's laws but it comes down to like
enforce?
enforcement. Yeah, like just in my neighborhood, and just speaking anecdotally, the house next door to me has a sign on it, student housing. It's not a legal student housing unit, but they haven't been enforced, prosecuted. But around the corner, there's what I call a good landlord, quote unquote, who rents to students and to just regular people. And he got prosecuted because someone called him in. And it's just like, so the laws are there, but they don't necessarily accomplish what they're meant to accomplish. That's all I can say. And I don't have an answer to that, but it's like definitely an issue. It's related to the blue bags.
Are we sort of agreed that this is a good idea to propose to the city council?
Explore, yeah, for sure. That's interesting.
Not really. Well,
What's
I think
your
overall, it's a good idea, but I would like to add a 4th option, if I may, that I believe incorporates the best elements of. I call that the tri-grid system. And it would use the blue bags in their improved form, top section. And not really the tags. But,
Well, let's talk about the tags in a few minutes.
okay, let's talk about the tags. But, all right, and then also composting, but in a different way than it's presented in the
Yeah.
system. And we didn't get to that yet, but that also should have revenue later at the end.
The three system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them have.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, the composting could bring an additional revenue.
I did put in composting there, but anyway, okay, I'll tell you, some of these other aspects of the blue bag system, I have an issue with durability. Josh Paluti, when he talked with the legislative committee, had actually done a test of their strength. He said he put, I forget how much weight in one and tossed it around, and he found they were okay. And he did say that on collection, they don't run into many problems with durability. But what I can see that people are often complaining about is overstuffed bags. Of course, if you overstuff it, it's going to leak. And
Or if you have something that's gonna puncture.
exactly, right. And most things that might puncture probably belong elsewhere. right?
Education factor.
Yeah. So I don't buy the idea that the bags should be improved. So, what do you guys?
Well, I think there's room for improvement, because I remember when I first moved here, they were not
Really?
8 years.
How come they don't enforce them being in bins? They should
Because
be
it
in
takes
bins.
longer to collect and it cut the workforce considerably.
Yeah, what I would
They can do, the
suggest,
guys picking the garbage can, and when whoever's picking the garbage, they can just grab a rag and throw it in there, I'll have to make 2 trips. They gotta take it, bin over and dump it in. They gotta bring that back. They cut the crews considerably,
Yeah.
so it's more work.
I think they should have more crews then, because I think it would make the city cleaner, because like think of all the animals that go through, like that go in the bags. And I mean, actually, I think they're supposed to be in bins.
Legally, they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
in
enforced.
containers. It's not enforced because it's easier for them to pick up. It's just, and they've cut the horses and they let them go home as soon as they're done. So faster they can go.
The ones, the trucks that have the system that like automatically like grab on and do it is, I know nothing about the truck system. Is that an option? I mean,
I don't think so, Laura,
Yes.
because
It's an option to privatize.
the trucks are
Okay,
like
so-
6
Pretty
figures,
much.
they're very expensive.
I guess you mentioned modification earlier. I don't know if it was something that you just,
You have to
they
get,
attach or
that's,
it's completely
that's for
different.
dumpster trucks, for
Okay.
trucks with pulley system on the back.
Okay,
But for
completely
those
different.
with an
then.
arm and all that, you're talking about a different truck.
Got it. Okay.
Joshua Paluti's comment on that was that
Several
there are
million
many
dollars.
streets in Binghamton that can't support that. Like it's works in the suburbs but like if you look at like parts of the west side where student housing, it's
I
like
don't
Mhm.
buy that option.
you couldn't.
They do them in the alleyways in Seattle, like you wouldn't believe you could fit your car in
I'm
there.
just sharing what Josh Paluti said.
Right, I'm just saying that I don't think that's a legitimate reason. I'm not for them. I think that it would take a tremendous workforce, your costs of collection would go up considerably. Because usually, like in Seattle, they do it that way, but it's all private. As far as, they bill you through the city of Seattle, but it's Waste Management that's doing the collection and doing the work. They have 1 person per truck.
Mhm.
They come, they do it once a week. They have huge bins and you can get different size bins. You pay X amount quarterly on the bill for it, depending on the size bin you have. Regardless of what you put out, then you can put out more, but you get charged considerably for each bag or each container more. So that's a whole different scheme, and I think you're creating more issues than we are currently have personally.
That's what I'm looking at, Caitlin's 3-stream system. That would be probably the way that would be done.
So let's look in terms of content. You have the biodegradables. That's the part that the animals would go after, not broken mugs or anything like that. So broken mugs and things that go to the landfill can go into the blue bags. The biodegradables would be compostable. They can go into bins and any kind of bags. They don't need tags on them because it's revenue generating. We're gonna have to tag them for that. And then the recyclables stay as they are. It's like a modified system that incorporates the best elements of all of these options.
We did decide that we would defer composting. I think we should advocate it for sure. But we did say that.
Well,
let's see.
decisions are made to be revisited.
Listen,
Okay.
we should see how the new system works.
I feel that that was a false premise because the new system has people bringing their stuff to the
Yes.
compost. That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about it being picked up by the municipal workers. It's totally different. They're not comparable.
Right.
So why should we wait until see how that works? It does no use to us.
Because if we propose something like that, that replaces the new system, okay? And they've agreed to this new system. Let's just see how it works. And what I think we should advise city council is say, look, do strongly consider composting, pick up by the city, but maybe after sort of reviewing how this new system works. And I agree with you. It doesn't look to me like it would be effective, but let's see, let's get the data.
I think city would also require proof of concept before doing something like this. And in a way, this acts as a modified proof of concept. So it could actually, I think you had already said it 2 months ago, but I think all of us agree with you in here. But regardless, I think if we were to propose something like that now, automatic shutdown. Whereas with this, we have the step, we get the interest, then you have proof of concept. It would probably be more likely to go through at any point if we did nothing now, waited for proof of concept, see how that went, and then reconvened at a later time. That's what I think. Because I agree, composting seems like the obvious way to go. Reduction of trash, better, environment.
Yeah.
It's a
less in the blue
win-win.
Bags means less money paid for.
Yeah, but it's I think now that we're working
Well, you
within
need
a
a study
governmental
of the
system,
entire
yeah.
system.
And it
I
also,
mean, it's-
it also.
Proof of
gives the,
concept would be the way to just table it for
Give the
now.
city revenue because they would have jurisdiction over the radius of.
None
Now
of these
25 miles
issues
is
are
gonna
as
be-
simple as they would appear.
It's gonna be increased to 40 miles and if somebody else beats us to it.
Also, just as a reminder, there's that intersection between the county and the city. So like, the city could have a great composting program, still got to match with the county. Because the county controls sanitation collection for the whole county, not just the city.
They're not gonna control it because the law says that the food scraps within a certain radius have to go to the composting facility. That means everybody, it means the university, which now brings it to a farm, but they bring it to the city instead. And others, university does it now optional.
I don't think that's politically going to happen. This is just my opinion.
Okay,
That's,
you may be
you know,
right, but that doesn't mean we can't.
I totally, like, to repeat what you just said, I totally think scientifically it makes a whole lot of sense. Socially, culturally, whatever, it makes a lot of sense. But politically, if the county doesn't support what the city is trying to do, it's not going to happen. That's the political reality. And that's been the case in the past and it will
I
continue
can
to
tell
be the
you
case.
that there was support for it at the environmental management.
I'm sure there was. Absolutely, all of us would support it. But the county's not going to support it, then it's not going to happen.
Okay, let's get back a little bit on track. I mean, this is all relevant, but let me just summarize in the blue bag system. I think we strongly approve of the pay as you throw idea. And I do admire the simplicity of the system. You buy bags, and whether we advocate that it be done through landlords or rentals or whatever, you do buy them and they cost, and it becomes very effective. And there's also the strength that it's a familiar system. Don't underestimate that. People are resilient to change, and it does work that way. So what I would propose is that we summarize the blue bag system as saying that it has those aspects. And I would say that bag quality needs to be considered strongly, and that it should be checked. Okay, I was saying that the blue bags are no problem, but I agree that it should be checked for quality, and that we should suggest this idea of landlords being responsible. Okay, is that a decent summary of what we think about the blue bag system? What?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
With, you're talking about the biodegradable bags. I don't know like what the cost of that would be. I know it'd be more, but with how the way that the landfill is, would biodegradable bags, would they be able to degrade? Because you know, like how some things might be compost, like you can compost certain things, but like how regular garbage disposal is, it like things that are you could compost, for example, they won't compost like with regular garbage disposal. Would like the bags that are biodegradable, would they be able to degrade in our landfill?
Well, one thing, landfills, stuff deposited in landfills ends up anaerobic, you know, that is without oxygen. And actually everything decays more slowly there. So, you know, you might think paper is a great solution for bags, but it's pretty permanent in the anaerobic environment of landfills. So, you know, I was originally sort of saying that, well, plastic is an issue, but and most substitutes don't degrade very quickly either. So, and
the liner at the landfill is really supposed to work, whether it does or not. I mean, no matter what is in there, it's supposed to be contained, whether it's plastic or something that's biodegraded. So I don't know if it's a big gain or positive to put biodegradable bags in there.
yeah, well,
I don't think it
somebody
works.
said that biodegradable bags are
I
not
don't
very
think they
good.
work. Yeah, they don't, I mean, they use them for composting. Yeah, they're not using for the regular garbage. Regular garbage are collecting bins.
Good
Some people have,
distinction. Yeah, that's
some people have small plastic bags that are mixed in with the garbage, just like from their kitchen or whatever. But as far as the collection is done in a bin, it's, the truck comes and it just dumps it in.
The biodegradable bags are also plastic.
I don't know what they're made out of. I don't think they're plastic. I actually have some of at home. But they are used for compost.
yeah.
What do they look like, or feel like?
Just green and kind of like spongy almost, very stretchy.
So they're probably some kind of polymer, which is a plastic.
Yeah, they don't, I mean, they break down even with the compost.
But so my question is, what are they breaking
They start
down into,
breaking down.
microplastics?
That I
You
couldn't
know,
tell you.
we don't know. Well, we know we don't see them anymore, but they could be dangerous chemicals that they're breaking down. I'd like to know the answer to that.
Okay, I would actually include the comment with this blue bag by saying that we should look out for biodegradability. That it's just keep an eye out, because things are changing all the time. I read reports of bacteria that could digest plastic. What did that work in landfills? But anyway.
Well, if there's any information that comes out, if somebody comes up with the perfect bag made of X, Y, and Z,
Right.
the thing to do is that city council could legislate that they want, that it has to qualify in this group And then the purchasing agent, whenever they put out the contract, to purchase these bags, they just put it in the standards that it has to meet these qualifications in the specs for the bags. So, I mean, that's not a hard thing to do,
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of finding out what the material, what these bags,
Right.
these magic bags are. And then just spec it and put it out in the annual or every couple of years, whenever they put out the contract.
okay, let's move on to the tag system. And which Caitlin called hybrid EYT system. I was kind of interested in the Ithaca system. I tried to actually contact solid waste person up there, but I never got my messages returned. So, but what I did realize after a while, that what they mandate is that residents buy tags, and they've tagged them to either a bin or a bag. But what I realized is the bags, they also stipulate have to be plastic. So I thought, oh, well, maybe this is a way, and actually the implication of Caitlin's description was that it could be any kind of bag. But I think we agreed when we saw Josh that that if people use any kind of bag, particularly kinds of paper bags, that they just wouldn't work very well. They'd be messy. You know, what happens when it rains? Of course, paper basically is no good anymore. So anyway, I thought, well, the tag system sounds great, but if you have to use plastic anyway, it doesn't really come to be much different from our blue bag system. So,
I think it's the most inequitable because you can have the same tags with different size
Well,
tags.
yeah, the size and volume, plus, you know, there's a limitation on what volume, how much can be in a bag weight-wise as it is.
that's it.
So if you
yeah.
started getting into different shapes and sizes, it would be
People
impossible.
can try to get as much as they can. It's
Yeah.
the biggest.
And you would end up with more garbage. all
You
over the
lose
streets.
any hope for standardization.
Yeah.
I'm sure DPW wants some standardization.
Yeah,
You need a sample of that, just go to a bag sale sometime.
as far as I know, it just has a very simple system. They charge $5 for a tag, which, by the way, gets to be a bit more expensive than our system. And they have a weight limit on how much you can stick in a bin. I think it's 70 pounds.
And they do use bins, you're saying?
You can use either bins or plastic bags. But the blue bag system puts a limitation on weight, really. And actually, I've never seen blue bags rejected, but I'll bet you can put more than 70 pounds in them.
Well, it's, I believe it was 50 pounds.
I think
I thought it was
so
50
too.
or 60.
And it's, you know, think about, people have to pick those up.
Yeah.
So it's, you're kind of torturing them, putting more than that. And then if you put more than that, it's gonna rip.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my just general thing is, I don't think the tag system offers anything beyond blue bags. It's,
I think it gets more complicated.
Yeah.
yeah,
Would be cheaper bag wise, potentially, but yeah, you're still using bags. So from my understanding, the blue bags, like what I forgot, it's either 40 or 60%, what I heard, of what you pay retail for the blue bags goes just to make the bags. So the city is getting either 40 or 60% of what's sold toward the tipping fee.
That matches your math that you said too.
what's that for?
Oh, Luke, you said they make like 80 to 90,000, 100,000,
Well,
sorry, and then they pay like 40,
I
400,000.
was looking according to the budget, but I don't, those are just numbers
Oh,
put in
okay,
the
okay,
budget.
okay.
So
Yeah,
those aren't
that does.
receipts, and I found it like, it was $329,000 for 2025 in the budget for bag production. But it was, I couldn't decipher what that meant,
Hmm.
because it said 2,500 at $100 and 1,000 at $71, I think, for medium bags. So I'm not sure, I didn't think about it long enough to figure out what they were getting at. But it does seem like a lot of money for the production of the bags. And 300, I mean, that's a lot of plastic bags. I don't know how many they collected, but you'd have to do the math. And I don't know why they changed the system to go back to the businesses purchasing the bags, whereas it used to be the city distributed the bags and the merchants paid the city. So a lot of funny business goes on when money's changing hands, and I'm not saying there is or isn't, but I always have a question, why do you change something or system-wise? And why would you be paying $329,000? Just like, why would you pay $235,000 to get rid of recycling materials and drive it all the way to Apple Lake? And that just, to me, that's mind-boggling. I mean, I understand the market fell out of it, but we were getting paid a few $100,000 for the recycling 10 years ago. I don't know. I mean, the cardboard's still worth money, paper's still worth money. I mean, there's things that could change there that environmentally, you just go back to the environmental purpose. It's like you don't want to collect more garbage and send it to the landfill. You're trying to reduce it. So making it easier for people to just throw stuff in a bag and send it to the landfill, to me, is going in the wrong direction. I mean, we had stickers besides the bags when I left. Most people hated them, but we also reduced the solid waste over a period of about 3 years by about 21% going to the landfill. It was going to recycling, which we were getting more money for. So as far as economically, the city was, it was benefiting, and environmentally, it was benefiting.
With the stickers.
With the stickers for anything
Yeah,
that wouldn't fit in a bag.
Yeah.
$3. But it also reduced waste coming in from outside the city by people that own multiple properties around the area, bringing them in because it's cheaper to get rid of the city. So I mean, there's a lot of these little things, and sorry, but it always comes back to the money.
Another little thing, I see a lot of bags that are only partially filled, which means that extra plastic is going to the landfill. I could use it. Well, the point I'm trying to raise is that there's only 2 places where people can get the small bags, and that's the senior center and City Hall. So there's a big distribution problem there too, especially for seniors who can't get around as much.
True. Good point.
Why can't they just carry all the sizes?
Yeah, I don't know why.
They don't.
They used to years ago. I mean,
Really?
long time ago.
Yeah.
And they just kind of stopped.
The website just says blankly, if you want the small bags, go to City Hall.
Yeah.
Well, the tax system, sorry, deviating slightly, takes care of the accessibility issue because you buy your own bags, but then you still have to get the tax somewhere. So I think one of the points we made too was the accessibility issue being such a problem with the blue bag. And initially we were thinking the tax system might help, but really you'd still have to get the tax somewhere. So perhaps it's not panacea we were hoping.
And then one other thing too with recycling, like people don't recycle properly, or they throw things away that shouldn't be recycled, or like there are people that might not clean cans out. Like I've seen people, like toss something, like not even wash something out and like toss it in recycling. And if you do that, that can actually like ruin everything. So it's like we want to encourage people to recycle, but wouldn't it be better to encourage the people that actually recycle properly to recycle? Because then if you have people that are just to try to avoid putting things in the bag, if they're putting things that should be thrown in the garbage or should be rinsed out and they're not doing that, that all the stuff that you were trying to recycle could be end up in the landfill anyway.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to know what actually is getting recycled. I mean, it's called recycling, it goes to a recycling place and distributed, but what percentage is actually getting recycled?
Yeah.
But Nikki, that's a good point, because if somebody doesn't want to pay, and that's a barrier, why not just like stuff it under your recycling and it's free? No one knows and they take that. I'm sure that's an issue.
or they don't clean it properly.
Yeah, or yeah, just even that, the education, the access issue.
Or like somebody will try to like put like tissue paper or, but you can't do that, or
Well,
like soiled pizza boxes you're supposed
Yeah.
to throw out and not put in the recycling.
Annually, at the beginning of the year, January, we all get the like refuse schedule and on there, I think they should put like the types like P1, P5, because I can't find that anywhere on the city's website. I've looked multiple times, like, can I actually recycle P2? or I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm on this commission. Like, I'm not saying I've spent hours, but the fact that I can't even figure that out and I've lived in Binghamton for 5 years, absolutely recycling's not being done properly. But it should be so simple on that refuse paper to write out, this is what you can, these are the plastics you can recycle. These ones you can't put them, like plastic bags, so many people think you can recycle, oh, plastic, like that's how the community at large, that's plastic's plastic. They don't understand the difference. So speaking of education, we've mentioned that a lot, but I think that is one of the more simple ideas we did that really could take an effect in January, like on the refuse paper that you mail out to every citizen. This is what you can recycle. This is what you cannot recycle. Start there. Everyone looks at
I
that.
think education is a good idea,
And
says I, but,
Says the
um,
professor.
but I think you need some kind of enforcement too, penalties.
Mhm.
And when people put things in recycling containers in the city, I mean, they'll just put them in loose. So actually, the people who pick up the recycling could kind of monitor what's put in recycling. I guess they probably don't want to look very carefully, but
They don't have time to do
They're
it.
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
trying
I
to go
know.
as fast as they can.
The larger branches of government have to take responsibility too, because you buy like a iced tea or something in plastic, could be the number 1, number 2, and number 5. Why don't they just say, well, beverages have to be 1 or 2, so recycle. Ban number 5 can be used for that purpose.
At this point, they should just ban
I mean, you
plastic
can't see those
containers.
little numbers.
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
not,
Well,
they're not
they're not
recycling them
recyclable,
anyway. I don't care what
exactly.
uppers how.
yeah, I was
It's
just
like
saying, sort
This
of
delusion
ideally,
we live in.
there would be
It
some
wasn't
kind of
time,
penalty.
but it was. But that time has passed.
Yeah.
But wait, no,
Okay.
I really like that idea. I'm sticking to it. I'm holding by. Who do we contact about updating the annual refuse paper? Because everything we're proposing takes time and money, but this is simple. I think this could be done fairly, relatively easily. Who do we speak to
Sure,
about that?
sorry, what exactly? You
On
say,
the
Laura?
paper, everyone's mailed every
It
year in the
comes
city of
out of the
Binghamton.
DPW office.
Is that it? What is
Yeah.
it called? DPW?
Yeah, Department of Public Works.
That's right. I think updating that will take
Yeah,
no money.
yeah,
And
that's true.
it's not, and reinforcement's an issue, yes, but at least if somebody has it, like, that's the first step to, until things are figured out, and everything takes so much time, but this really shouldn't take too much time. Piece of education that we could all know. I still don't know what kind of plastics I can recycle.
Actually, one thing I think people do read on the website is when collections will be changed, you know?
Yeah, and that's
So
on there,
You're
on
gonna
there,
have a
yeah.
section there saying, you know, please, you know, monitor your recycling, and that there are these.
Yeah,
They read that and they read penalties. If there's
Yeah.
there you
penalties.
go.
Tell them there's penalties.
Monetary penalties.
And then work with the school, because I think like, and I think people underestimate the power of education of children.
Oh, no,
And-
absolutely. Grammar school's the best place to educate. As
Yeah,
far as
it's like,
recycling, it is, because they go home and torture their parents with, no, you can't do this, you have to do that.
That's right.
yes, and I can say that, like,
No,
there's,
it's
we had
true.
songs in elementary school, I went
Yeah.
to, you know, like about recycling, reuse, reduce, and also too, like, even like the kid cartoons. And then it was funny, when I went away for undergrad, I went out of state, and like there was no recycling at all on campus at that time. And then like when I moved off campus, like I would have to go out of my way to recycle, like take it somewhere, 'cause they didn't have like how we, like they only did garbage pickup. But I would come home on breaks, like when I lived in the dorms, with all these papers, and my mom's like, what is this? And I'm like, they don't recycle at school. And I'm like, and I couldn't like bring myself to throw it away in the
Yeah.
garbage, but like that was because being in New York, it's just so ingrained in you, like, or at least it was as a kid, like recycle. So it's like it's like if it starts young, that helps too. And to your
Yeah.
point, then they'll go home and to their parents
Yeah.
and
I used to live in Germany, and my gosh, the
Yeah.
fact that people can't even recycle here, but there I mean, that's anecdotal, but I mean, it's doable. People can do it. It's I think it's just that's the American mentality, like the individualistic, and you just don't think of the broader system. One thing to our benefit though is I think most people who do recycle genuinely want to do well. Like they have that idea, and like you said, whether it works or not, but it's like this. I think most people who recycle really do, if they knew what they could or couldn't do, would try to abide by that thing. I think
Yeah.
you're always going to have the deviation of people sticking trash and recycling because it's quote unquote free. But I think updating that paper is like the best step we could do at this moment, in my opinion.
Okay, look, we've got to kind of wrap this up, and I think we didn't make it to the three-stream system, but I think we can say that the three-stream system is a marvelous idea, but it obviously requires a major change in the way we do things. And you know, maybe sometime that would be a good idea, but should we say just that much, that there's some?
I think that's at least a county level conversation, because it takes that large of a scale to generate a plant that's feasible economically to accept compost, because it's a large undertaking.
Yeah, so that would really come under problems too,
And
wouldn't it?
it has to, you have to have a place for it to go. I mean,
Yeah.
collecting it is not a good idea when you don't have a place for it to go.
Yeah, you have storage space there, but you know, large storage space.
Well, actually, what I was particularly thinking there is everybody would have to have 3 bins, you know?
Oh, that. Well, on top of that, you need a large facility.
Yes.
You gotta process it.
I'm repeating Luke.
You gotta process it.
Right. You know, what we did say is we would present the 3 options to city council, and that we would not land on one system. But I'm inclined to reverse that by actually advocating just some things to fix up the blue bag system. And what Caitlin called modified blue bag system, with some of the things that we've been talking about. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I did hear you say earlier to add Luke's suggestion.
Yes,
The property owner responsibility.
yeah.
I think that would be good to put in there.
I think what I'd like to do is, I think we should submit what Caitlin's wrote originally, because there's a lot of stuff in there. But I did think that one reason I did this outline is we just need to summarize it. City council doesn't want to wade through 15 pages of stuff. So what I would propose is that I write up what I think we should deliver to city council, and alongside Caitlin's things, with a comment, with comments on what we've talked about, you know, the strengths of these different things, and I would like to add that we think probably the best way is to modify, but to chase after some of these issues about the blue bag system. Because actually, I was at the neighborhood meeting two evenings ago, the South Side neighborhood, and there was somebody there who immediately piped up when I said we were talking about it. She said, "I like the blue bags." And but anyway, there are people out there who like blue bags. We hear a lot of issues, but what about that for a proposal that I write up some of the things we've been talking about, and I would post it on Blue Basecamp, and then solicit your comments.
Good idea.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
And then I think at the end of that, we just ask city council what they want.
Yeah.
Whoever wanted to could show up, they could schedule it on one of the work sessions.
right. Yeah, good.
Public works.
How's that?
What are
Sounds
you
good.
saying, Luke, about the work session?
But once we come up with that summary,
Yeah,
send that to them
yeah,
and just ask them if they'd like for more discussion about it. I'd be happy to show up at a work session.
I'll bet they would like more discussion about it.
Whoever the public works committee.
Yeah,
Whoever
Work session.
from
Yeah,
our
whoever wants,
commission wants.
yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah, whoever wants. to
Well, I
go.
wouldn't say you should be there,
Yeah, I would go to it. And discuss it with them,
maybe Tom,
because they're gonna have questions.
Laura.
and things.
Nikita.
I would just add one thing.
Whoever's interested in going.
Rebecca did agree to ask the office that does SNAP, whether that we could make some arrangement with them to make blue bags more affordable. I don't blame Rebecca for not saying anything about that, because she's doing all sorts of things for the South Side and the city as a whole. But in any case, that was one issue that I'll contact her about and just see if she can follow up on that.
Can we move to new business?
Sorry?
Can we move to new business? Because I have something I want to.
Ah!
And I'm afraid we're gonna.
Yeah,
run out of
yeah.
time.
This- Good,
All right,
speak.
okay. So the mayor put out a notice that council and the mayor had discussed selling I think it's 4 vacant lots to a not-for-profit CAPC. I don't know what that stands for. We built single-family homes in a targeted area that was identified by one entity that I don't remember. It's either the economic development or the IDA or somebody. Anyway, that white dot, that's where one of the 4 lots are. The other 3 lots are in the blue area right around that white dot. And I really would like this committee to start.
That's the unofficial flood map.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's the inundation map from 2011. So that blue area was underwater, had some level of water significant enough to be identified.
The white dots must be a little higher then?
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's about 2 feet higher.
Yeah.
Actually, 29 and 25 Lydia Street, both of those lots did have some of that blue on it, if you look at it at scale. The larger issue is that in 2010, FEMA prepared preliminary maps of the official flood maps, and they were never adopted. And for various reasons, it's been forestalled. So one thing is it radically changes.
Politically,
Changes things.
insurance.
Another thing that's happened is the federal government rewrote the legislation that undergirds FEMA and the flood insurance program. And they created something called a Zone D, which is an area that's known to have a hazard of unidentified scope or effect. And the recommendation, it's not, like if you're in a flood, special flood hazard area, type A or type V, you must get flood insurance. And you're allowed to get flood insurance, which is paradoxical, but that's how that program works because it's a federally subsidized program. But the Zone D, it's like they want you to, they recommend that you get flood insurance, but because you're not in the A or V special hazard area, the flood insurance program isn't set up for you to get flood insurance. So they opened it up to the private market, at least this is what I understand. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, the flood insurance is more than the mortgage on the property. So if the banking industry starts requiring the flood insurance, the cost of the property suddenly like doubles from what it would normally be if you weren't in this Zone D. In Zone D, just to give you a scale, this is protected by a flood a levee. This area, the east side, that's all Zone D on the new maps. All of downtown, which is protected by levees, all these levees are uncertified. So that becomes a Zone D, and then parts of the south side also become Zone D. So it's a really big issue. It's like my hobby horse, so I admit that. But there's over 600 homes just on the east side that are affected by this Zone D reclassification. So I just think we need to like, where I would suggest that we open a discussion about that. So that, because council doesn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah,
And the fact that they're
They don't learn
seriously
quick if there's a flood.
considering funding single-family homes with the idea that low-income people would be able to develop equity in an area that's like an island in a flood, it's just insane. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, we should absolutely.
not to use pejorative language, but. So that's just a heads up, like I'll bring more information next time because I know we're short on time, but.
Well, there's a lot of things that should be updated too, though, because there's been improvements made to that area in the first war.
Yeah, there's mitigation.
There's been mitigation in different places, and I don't know of anywhere where things have been updated or modeled to represent the mitigation that's taking place.
Like drainage.
Yeah, like in your area, there's the underground trout brook. But they greatly increased the pump station on McDonald Ave that can take Trout Creek and get it over the wall and force it into the river. So as long as it doesn't reach the wall.
And that's
Because I
good.
used to flood even if the wall wasn't breached.
We identified, we meaning the city of Binghamton as part of the Broome County master plan for flood resiliency. There's a flood resiliency master plan that identifies a lot of projects, some of which Luke described for the city have been done. But the fact of the matter is that our maps are our official maps, which affect how compulsory regulations are enforced, were from 1970. They're not even, and so there's areas in the New York State Building Code and other places where it says you're supposed to use the best information available, which the preliminary maps would be, but it's not uniformly enforced. And if the people like city council, who's our decision makers, the mayor could sit, or I shouldn't point the finger at the mayor, I'm sorry for that. Someone could sit at the table and say, that's in a zone, a current zone X, which means it's outside the flood, it's not in a special flood hazard area, and it would be literally true. But someone like me might get up and say, while that's true, it's not compulsory, the regulation isn't triggered. You should know that it's really in this special hazard area that's just not been adopted. It's data that we have, but hasn't been enforced. So like, what do you want to do? It's good decision making in my
Yeah, you
opinion.
wouldn't think you'd want to be spending money on development in those areas.
Yeah.
If there's other areas. that aren't.
Right, exactly.
Because even if it's in the white, now you gotta have people
Yeah.
in and out of there.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
flooded around there.
Right.
How do they get?
Well,
in
one
and
of the
out
biggest
without an
considerations, just speaking generally about a circumstance like that, is how does emergency personnel get in? Like if you're trapped in your house, basically, for even 48 hours and you have an emergency, they can't get to you. Or they have to use extraordinary measures to get to you, which is like in a flood event, as we've seen over and over on television. It's like they may or may not get to you in time. So why would you do that?
Yeah, Tommy pointed out to me a long time ago that you can see various flood maps on the Broome County
Right.
Tax parcel.
Right.
And I think that's very useful. They've got several different ways of looking at it. The old map,
Right.
the new map,
Right.
which was never adopted,
Right.
as Tommy was saying, but also the extent of the 206 flood
Right.
and the extent of the 211 flood.
Right.
And so it's kind of good to look at those, especially if you think you're in one of those areas.
It just doesn't seem like we've done as a community a good enough job of raising public consciousness and awareness of like what's really happening. And it isn't just a local problem. It's a county-wide problem. We used to have a county-wide task force that was coordinated through the state, Homeland Security and DEC. And
There
it's
was
just
a lot
all-
of federal money
it's all
for training. at
melted
one time.
away.
And there was
Melted away.
requirements. I mean, we had garbage men trained, we had like all these different courses online that numerous people from every department took. every year you had to update different things, so that in an emergency, there was a certain protocol that was already set in place, who's in charge, all these different things. And it was, I mean, done pretty religiously, and I haven't seen anything the last 10 years about any of it.
Well, you know, the last flood was 2011. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
In other
which-
words, I'm just
which-
making
Which
the
means
idea
we're
that
almost due.
out of sight, out of mind.
Right,
Well, exactly.
that's
But
true.
there we had so many things in such a short period of time, it was on the top of a lot of people's.
Like they did the work on the flood wall
Yes,
on Upper Court Street.
Yep.
And they did a really nice job, but it didn't add any more,
No
any
freeway.
more capacity to it.
right.
They're just making what was there
Solid.
solid again.
And looking at the way things are going, I guess it's obvious to everyone that we're gonna have another big flood someday, and we don't know when, but it's gonna happen. And it may be worse than it was in the past. Okay, so tell me, we'll pick that up next time?
Yep.
Good. And, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Did that.
Anyone care to second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of,
Alright.
hey Len, we didn't hear much from you. I hope you heard all of us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
See you all.
All right.
My
See you.
meeting's run out.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Check it out. I
Yeah.
just got a text message from Dan. Which Schneider died of brain cancer.
Are you a landlord?
My landlord? No.
I don't know, I thought you might be a landlord.
No.
Well, I guess, I can let you get, maybe, one of you
He's a
might.
landlord torturer.
Yeah.
They throw darts at me. Automatic weapons.
It's the landlord's worst nightmare.
Yeah. What's on?
Well, I'm looking for something temporary for a month or two. Yes, so I'm like, right now, I live with my friend, like, it's a room on the west side, but the parents, we had it.
See you there.